Hey guys, Abner Miranda here. Recently I was watching a video that I stumbled upon on YouTube, and I believe it was with Todd Jarrett. And he goes, what was it? It was something like people are taught how to shoot incorrectly, and they're told squeeze. They're basically told squeeze that trigger slowly, and allow the gun to go off as a surprise. And he goes, that's just a bunch of bull. And he says the way you learn how to shoot is you hold the gun really tightly, you point at the target, and you pull the trigger without moving. And he says, and you do it again, 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 and you do it again. And the thing is, if you go to my website, you look at the training section, a couple of the classes, the basic classes, I talk about working the student through the flinch effect. Well, the flinch effect is what happens when someone tells you stand still, squeeze that trigger back really slow, take up the slack, squeeze. The gun should surprise you when it goes off. No, that's not the way it should be. You should be in command of when that gun is going off. And the way you do that is by taking control of the trigger, squeezing the gun really tight, holding it nice and steady, getting a really good shooting stance, a really good aggressive shooting stance. Like my buddy Rich Nance says, it's the base of a pyramid. It's a really wide base. Have an aggressive shooting stance. You're facing the target. You punch out the gun. You hold the gun really stable and steady. That's how you learn to shoot a gun. And believe it or not, guys, I can get you here in a very brief period of time if we can get past all of the fluffy stuff. If we can just get you past the fear of the flinch, of the bang. And by the way, the best way to get around the bang of a gun isn't to go to an indoor range where that bang is accentuated. I'm telling you this is fact. When I train, when I go to classes that are held in indoor ranges, it is absolute misery. I have to double plug. I have to have silicone plugs installed, locked in to my ears, and then my shooting muffs on top, and even then it's still pretty bad. Because the sound of a handgun bounces off the walls, bounces off the ceiling. Even though you have a baffled room, it's not doing much because the walls are too close. Here, we're talking about 60-something, 70-something yards around us in open sky. The gunfire has everywhere to go other than back into your ears. Excuse me. Which is why I love the open air environment to get a student past the flinch effect. Guys and gals, if you own a firearm and you're not training with it, you don't even know what you don't know. There are people that I meet who train or who carry guns and they think they know what they're doing because they have a gun on them, but they're not actually training with it. And there's no tactful way for me to say, you're clueless. You have no idea how much there is to learn about this, especially handgun. Guys, handgun is the hardest weapon to learn. I've heard this from Ken Hackathorn. I've heard this from Dave Spalding. You never really truly feel like you're mastering the handgun. It's just that hard of a weapon to learn. You get to the point where you're proficient with it. But like with rifles and shotguns, man, you can master a rifle and a shotgun. And you can maintain that mastery over that weapon with a little bit of practice. With handgun, if you're not working with that handgun repeatedly, you're going to lose it. If you train with Dave Spalding, he teaches you all of the science that goes behind this stuff. And one of the things that he teaches you is you learn that if you're not spending habitual association, time with your gun as a habit, then you could be at like 80-90% on a Friday, and come Monday you could just be dropped off 20-30%. I mean, it's phenomenal how fast you lose. In fact, I said recently in a video, I came out here last week and was training with my Glock 17 and the side holder, and my mag carrier, and I was feeling like, woo, all kinds of tactical. And then a couple days later, pulled out my Glock 19 and my hands automatically went here instead of going here, because of just those few reps that I did with my Glock 17 versus my Glock 19. Guys, that's reality. That sucks, and I do this regularly. That's how fast this stuff just leaves your brain. If you're not spending the time, you're deluding yourself into thinking that you're ready for the fight. And I get it. You're busy, You're working, you're running the kids around to this and that. Guys, I have 3 kids. I get it. I understand. Dedicate the time. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out and practice. Have a good one.